Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Astro Priestesses Roundtable and another epic solar month coming up. We're looking at the Leo solar month, and wow, it's hard to even know where to start, but I'm kind of inspired by the fact that even before, just like the last thing that's happening right before the sun goes into Leo on the 22nd of July, is that there is going to be a moon occultation over the Pleiades on July 20th. And it's a perigee moon, meaning it's closest to the Earth. And it's a waning crescent moon. It's right before the full moon on July 24th. So it's in that waning crescent phase. It's also right before it catches up to Venus on July 21st. The very next day, it's catching up to Venus at the heart chakra gate. So the thing about the Pleiades right now is that both Uranus and Sedna are with exactly with the Pleiades. And so the moon coming over and occulting the Pleiades, meaning it's covering and uncovering. And so if we could see it, I don't know that it's actually visible in our part of the world, but it or wherever you happen to be. But what you would see is that you'd see the Pleiades, you see the moon approaching, and then you'd see the Pleiades disappear behind the moon and then reappear as the moon moves across. This is similar to an eclipse energy. And that basically is meaning that it's amplifying all the energies that are happening with the Pleiades transmission directly to the Earth, with Uranus also transmitting Pleiadian energy directly to the Earth, and Sedna as well. So the energy of the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters, one of the most important stars to many, many ancient cultures, and in fact, current cultures, but the Hawaiians started their new year when the Pleiades rose in the evening sky. And the Mayans were looking at the Pleiades when it was opposite the sun at the, also, I guess, right currently it would be now in November, but also when it was conjunct the sun and directly overhead on the days of no shadows. I've got a video I've got about that I can put in the show notes. Very amazing. So the Pleiades have been super important to ancient cultures forever. Then the moon and Venus meet at the heart chakra gate. That will be the feature of the rest of the month of the solar month of July, because the next day the sun enters Leo, and the moon is with Jupiter, and it's the Magdalene feast day, and Eris, the dwarf planet that demoted Pluto from being a planet, is going retrograde at 26 Aries. It's been hanging out with Chiron. Chiron's going retrograde on July 30th at 27 Aries. So they're still very, very close together. They're going to make a couple more conjunctions before they separate. And so Eris, the goddess of chaos and discord, and out of chaos, the world is birthed. So this is the opportunity that we have. The Magdalene feast day on July 22nd is always when the sun enters Leo, or around that time is when the sun enters Leo. And interesting for those who might not know, that only became a feast day in 2016. Uh, before she was, I guess it was like a day of memory or something. I don't know. Anyway, they didn't celebrate it as a feast day, which elevated that Magdalene energy. And I got excited about it because I started doing Magdalene priestess work back in 1996. And and now to see how the Magdalene energy is just everywhere on the planet is amazing. So just something to know, and it's a great time to celebrate that energy as we move into the Leo solar month. And then we have the Leo new moon, and it's going to be opposite Pluto, trine Saturn and Neptune. Another great, amazing time. I'm just going to quickly say the things that are happening here and then let other people go into more detail around it. But the uh, Mercury retrograde is going to conjunct the moon on July 25th, and then the sun will and conjunct the sun on July 31st. So that takes us through the rest of the month of July. The next round, I'll be talking more about the August time. But anyway, uh, just kind of gives you a sense that even just the last couple of weeks of July or 10 days of July are amazing. And so with that, I'm going to pass this along.
Something that I want to bring forward with this new moon in Leo, and it's been very active lately for me, is the quantum field. Like there is more and more lately research about the quantum physics. It's like we are creating our reality according to what we're focusing on. Like the observer is really changing the reality. And this is a power that is very important to reclaim. And I feel that new moon is talking about that because we have the Mercury retrograde in Leo. We do have the new moon in Leo opposing Pluto. So it's like we are in this time of transformation, death, rebirth. We are seeing the results of previous attentions. It's like the old paradigm is dying, but then at the same time there are new bursts of energy. And I feel that the more that we find that peace and courage and fire, life force energy into in our lives, like individually, the more that we are anchoring that new earth into being, because also this new moon, as Kailin was saying, is trining Neptune and Saturn, is that at this moment, what we focus on, we are really giving a lot of energy. So with everything that is happening globally, sometimes it's very easy to get discouraged. And it's so interesting, like even the word of this courage, right? Is the heart, courage, and the core of our being is like is disconnected from that. So like the more that we connect with our heart and we, what is it in this life that for me brings me passion and joy and creativity, that is the pathway to make things different, even collectively, even and trusting that that is happening, because this idea of the observer is changing reality. It's like we are really powerful beings, and sometimes what I feel that is happening in the world in many ways is showing up the places that we gave our power away, Pluto. So then the collective, right? Pluto in Aquarius, the collective. So it's like, of course, you are creating your reality, but you are also in an environment that is creating a reality. So it's like, how can we weave a different reality into being? And I feel that our passions are the key. Like wherever we're passionate about, wherever our desires, even the word desire, that sometimes with spirituality is like, no, if you're spiritual, you need to get um, out of desire, right? Like desires are bad. I think it's like this attachment to the result of the desire is very different that desiring something, because it's your life force energy is just like happy for something, like your cells get like activated. And I think this new moon is a very important time to do any ritual that is transmuting old identities. And I was even reading about you are not your past. Like personality even is not fixed. So the more that we, like the old paradigm is dying, but our old identity is also dying. So we don't have to be constricted, but about what was happened before in our lives, because we are entering such a new quantum dimension that is like, what is it that you want to bring forward, and pay attention to that and create and anchor it. So I think any creative endeavor that helps you to anchor that energy, paint or write or just enjoy, like whatever is alive in your heart. And it's very interesting that Leo is connected with the leadership from our hearts, and then the Venus cycle in Aries that is about being brave, opening new pathways of possibility, but being courageous. It's not life is happening and no, it's like you make life happen. You also take a stand, and you also like go forward to wherever you're passionate about. And the more people are opening new pathways of possibility, the more that we're weaving a different reality into being. So I think that is so alive for many things. And I also wanted to say about the Pleiades that they are very related to culture, like they are bringing the culture and the cosmic wisdom into material form in so many of these stories and myths, and they are related to the arts and to music and to vibration as well. And it's very important to be very aware of our own cultural environment, and like what are we focusing on. And also the number 7 is also telling us that we have so much power to create our reality at this time. It's like the square that is solid, and we have like a solid base, Saturn as well, a square. And then from there, the 3 is like a triangle that is creating life forward. And the magic of 7 for me lately is everywhere. So I will just say that is like in this new moon, I will say that the whole July, and then getting into the Sirius Venus Jupiter conjunction that we will talk in the second round, I will say that this is high magical times. So be very aware of, I'm repeating myself because it's important. It's like being aware of what you're focusing your energy, because you are creating your reality every time you're focusing here or there. And sometimes we feel stuck in something. Maybe it's money, and everything is money. And then the more we pay attention to that, the more we are creating lack of money. And then we're saying, but that's my reality. Yes, but you're creating that reality the more you are paying attention to that. The same if you are sick and you are keep paying attention to the sickness instead of visualizing yourself as a healthy person and creating the healthy person into being. So I say that the focusing on our attention in the abundance of life and the infinite possibilities instead of the lack, what is lacking, because sometimes it's very human to focus on what is lacking. So I will say that during these months in summer, it's very important to be very aware of that. Yes.
I love that. What's so funny is I accidentally turned my camera off for a moment, and it was right when you said, Mar, something about like releasing old identities. And I was like, how funny that that just like happened at that time. And it's certainly a personal message for me, but I imagine that may be an important message for others watching that, that just synchronistically happened at that time. And it also gives them, it also speaks to the magic of, we're going into Leo season with Mercury retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde, I believe, July 17th at 15 Leo. Leo season starts July 22nd, and Mercury retrograde will be through, I have it right here, August 11, it goes
Yeah.
through.
August
11th, and it will go back to 4 Leo. But it's a great reminder that there's an alchemy and a magic to Mercury retrograde that I know, Kaylin and Mar, you are both like so attuned to that when you can see beyond the little like kind of minor inconveniences, or some of them can be really big inconveniences that happen in our lives during Mercury retrograde, there's a greater magic and there's a greater alchemy. And when we have those little, tech glitches or miscommunications or delays or whatever it is, there's always a medicine, and there's always like a trickster medicine to everything that's happening as well. And so I want to give an invitation to like see beyond the typical Mercury retrograde mishaps to connect with that greater, the high magic, as Kaylin says, of Mercury retrograde, and that beautiful like sacred trickster medicine that is wanting to
shift us out of where we've been like stuck and stagnant with our ways of thinking and perceiving, where we have limits on our mind, to open up to a greater magic. And so I just want to start with the ingress chart for this Leo season is pretty epic. And the Leo new moon, that's just, days after the moon goes into, or the sun goes into Leo, is a very similar energy. So with the Leo ingress chart, wherever whatever the whole configuration of the astrology chart, at the moment the sun goes to 0 degrees, 0 arc minutes of any sign, is important because that gives us the kind of energy of this particular Leo season that will ripple for the entire Leo season. And this is why, we have different experiences from year to year. But like there's this like triple 0 degree activation as the sun goes into Leo. Anytime there's an activation of a zero, like 0 degree energy, this is zero. It's infinite, right? It's the seed of possibility. This is where we're tapping into that quantum field of new possibilities, new timelines. So not only is the sun at 0 degrees of Leo, of course, for the Leo ingress, the moon is at 0 degrees of Cancer. And then one sign before Gemini, Uranus is at 0 degrees of Gemini. Of course, like, right, activating the Pleiades. We have Gemini, Cancer, Leo, 3 signs in a row, these 0 degree activations of our luminary, our most personal planets to our like core energy, sun and moon, and then Uranus, right? This transpersonal outer planet that is like the bridge from the seen to the unseen into quantum possibilities, the great awakener, the great liberator. So this is informing me there's a lot of new possibility available to us this Leo season. And the chart is just epic because the sun is interacting in that Leo ingress chart with every single outer planet that has just like moved signs within the last year. Very recently, if we're talking about, the sun is sextiling Uranus, like a perfect 0 degree sextile with Uranus at 0 degrees of Gemini. The sun is making a fire trine to Saturn and Neptune at the beginning of Aries. Saturn and Neptune are both retrograde. And then also the sun is making that opposition to Pluto retrograde as well. So what that informs me is the sun, right? It's like it amplifies, it charges up energy, it activates energy. It's really activating our ability to connect with these like evolutionary currents of energy and to get in the flow with all of these evolutionary shifts that are happening within our lives, because we are in a time astrologically this year. Pretty much everyone I'm working with is experiencing it. I am experiencing it. Probably most people here. Like, we are in a time of fast moving change within our lives. Most of us are experiencing accelerated growth, fast moving change. It's like we keep on getting pushed, like just out of the edge of our comfort zone, or maybe like way beyond the edge of our comfort zone, depending on what our evolution needs. But I feel there's something about that can help us because the sun's making a more what you might say as like flowy aspects to Uranus and Saturn and Neptune, that there's I can feel like a flow that this season is activating. And then we have the Leo new moon. So the sun ingress is Leo July 22nd. The Leo new moon is at 2 degrees of Leo. That is on July 24th. It's making a perfect opposition to Pluto retrograde and Aquarius. And I feel a general theme of this Leo season, and it definitely feel it with the Leo new moon. This Leo season, with also Mercury retrograde being in Leo, it is an invitation to kind of get out of the way of our mind and the self-limiting ways our perception and our way of thinking and believing has self-limited us, and to really experience the magic of living a heart-led life, because Leo is all about the heart. It is a sign of leadership. This is a sign of living a heart-led life. Leo is the invitation to remember and to reclaim our divine essence, that we are each individual expressions of that same divine energy. And when we can remember our divine energy, it's not that anyone is above or below anyone, there's no elevation here. We are all expressions of that same divine energy. And there's an invitation here to really open up our vessel to allow more of that divine energy to come through in our own unique individual way. And I really feel that with that sun and then also new moon opposition to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, right? There's so many amazing things about Pluto and Aquarius that it's opening us up to, but it's also really revealing the shadow that comes from um, like for example, like one of the shadows of Pluto and Aquarius, especially this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, is reminding us is like the shadow of being too like in that hive mind energy where we start becoming susceptible to maybe different narratives that are in place by what you might call darker forces or powers that shouldn't be, like whatever it is. There is a lot here playing out through our collective that is trying to kind of pull on this hive mind energy, where Leo is all about being the individual, right? So it's like there's an invitation here through being connected to our heart, being connected to our sense of self and our sense of individuality, to stay true to ourselves and to not get pulled into certain like hive mind ways of thinking. I mean, there's, if you've ever heard of the concept of like an egregor, right? Like whenever there's a group of people that are thinking enough of the same thing, it creates a life of itself. Like the mob mentality can be an idea of like the egregor, how it can take over people. And there's an invitation to wake up to where might we be getting pulled into some of that energy that's divisive, that's wanting to polarize people and pull people apart. And we can do that through staying connected to our heart, which is actually a unifying energy, which is the higher octave of Aquarius, is that unifying energy. So there's like so much I could say, but I think I'll stop there and we can go for another round.
Oh, this is so good. I love everything that's been said so far. And looking at August, um, the things that are happening right away is that Venus is going to square Saturn and Neptune on the 1st of August. So that it's like this whole energy. And I love this heart energy. If we are not coming from love, if we are not coming from our heart, if we're not coming from a place of this high vibrational energy of love, then we're part of the problem. So we just need to, and I do this pretty much daily, claim that I'm coming from a place of love, and I'm living in the magic of love, and being a superconductor of love. So that changes everything, and it will have an impact on your personal life when you do that, as well as the greater collective. So thank you for everything that's been said about that. And I think Venus square Saturn and Neptune right as we begin the month of August helps us to recognize that if we look at the Cancer mysteries, that it's really about how are we creating a way to be safe inside ourselves? How are we creating a way to be safe within ourselves and then create safety for everybody to be who they authentically are? That is the opportunity we have. Jupiter's in Cancer, of course, until next year. So that is a theme that's being amplified all this rest of this year. And then Mars is going to enter Libra on August 6th and cross that equinox point, that September equinox point in our northern hemisphere, the autumnal equinox point, enlivening and activating that point, and also perhaps enlivening the possibility of how we do relationships in ways that are equal, collaborative, cooperative, co-creative, rather than how we've been doing, which is more of the dominator like I'm more important than you, or what I have to say, or you're not important, or I don't feel important, you feel like you're more important, or whatever that might be. So we've got that. Then we're going to have Mars trine Uranus and opposite Saturn and Neptune, like on the 8th or 9th, depending on your time zone. And so Mars is getting an activation, a big activation quickly around that point. And also, I forget, I didn't write this down. I can't believe I didn't write this down. Mars is going to be occulted by the moon. And I think it's at the end of July, it's being occulted by the moon. But anyway, so Mars is getting occulted. Then Mars is going to do its connection to all the to these planetary activations, and so Mars is just really being lit up while it's in Libra. So hopefully, maybe there'll be some new transmission that comes through for the sacred masculine around that. And then we have, of course, the cross quarter point on August 7th. Actually, I think it's late on the 6th in the more Western time zones, and then it's on the 7th for the more Eastern time zones. The solar cross quarter point, where the sun is at the halfway point between the June solstice and the autumnal equinox, or the September equinox, opposite seasons in the southern hemisphere. And it's also right before 8/8, which is considered, I know a lot of people geek out on the Lion's Gate, but interestingly, the sun is not even in the lion. It's in the sign of Leo, but not in the constellation of the lion until a few days later. I'll put a video in about that that people can watch if they're interested in knowing more about that. But the number magic 8/8 is kind of fun to work with, and it does represent infinity and all those things. So anyway, so we have the solar cross quarter, then we have the Aquarius full moon on August 9th. So boom, 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 just all these things are happening really, really quickly. And of course, then that's an opportunity to shine a light on how we're expanding consciousness and awareness, how we're connecting into the quantum field. Then August 11th, Mercury's going to station a direct, and Venus and Jupiter and Sirius are meeting in the most precise conjunction they have had with Sirius in hundreds of years. Definitely at least 200 years. It won't happen again. I don't even know when it happens again. I couldn't look that far ahead, but this is so remarkable. And Sirius is the star that is considered to be the life giver. When it rose as morning star, which it does in August, for many latitudes, it's different. If you're further north latitude, it's going to be later. If you're lower, I'm at 32 degrees north latitude, so August 2nd or 3rd is when it rises. But I have a mountain, so I might not see it, but you will see Jupiter and Venus, and it's definitely worth checking out because this is a seed point for something new, like everything we've been talking about, some new way. And we want to focus our attention and intention on this seed point. So if you can see Jupiter and Venus in the sky together, you'll see how much brighter Venus is than Jupiter. And then the moon will catch up to Jupiter on the 19th, and it's still very close to Sirius, around 15 degrees. And so this is really I don't know, the essence of what's happening. And if we can take advantage of this time, the planets are here to support us. The stars are here to support us. The cosmos is here to support us if we take advantage of it. So with that, passing it on.
Well, I love so much the second part. It's like the first part is nice, but it's kind of like it's bringing everything up. And then in the second part of the month is like where the focus for me while I was listening to you, Kylie, I kept listening, like hearing the word self-love. Like the more we love ourselves as we are, and the more that we love life as it is. And I think that's also the mastery of Mars in Libra, that is very like in Taoism, the less you resist to what is like the path and the way and the Tao, because life has a wisdom as it is. And if we want to change something, first is like accepting what is at this very moment and celebrating what is at this very moment as a miracle of being alive. And also with all these activations with Sirius and Venus and Jupiter, Sirius in Egypt was connected with Isis. So there is a big activation of Isis mysteries that when we see like pictures of Isis, and then we see the Virgin Mary. Is like it's the same. Is this great mother that is bringing into the life the divine child. So how can we be our divine mothers for ourselves to bring and give birth to the divine child that we already are? And I feel that is also very important in this, like remembering these mysteries of societies like Egypt, that they knew that we need to make peace with death in order to be fully alive. And the more that we are afraid of dying, the less that we are living. And this is regarding the new moon that we were talking before, that is opposing Pluto. As a culture, we don't have ways of dying a good death. And this is for identities, but it's also for the physical death of the body. It's like it's knowing that even when we die, there is something bigger being played out. So then the less that we are afraid of and avoiding the past, the more that we can be approach orientated towards that future. So Isis is giving back life to Osiris, that it was connected with the constellation Orion, and is giving back that life through remembering the different parts. So it's divided in 14 parts, and these 14 parts with the magic and with the erotic energy as well. And because it's like Osiris, the part that is missing is the phallus, and then that is like a golden energy to bring it back. So it's like divine phallus, kind of to give it back into creation. So I will say that with this Leo energy, with rewriting the stories, that erotic life force within us is also very important to give birth to a different reality. So it's kind of like first making peace with what is as it is, and then connect with what is alive within us. And I feel that Mars in Libra is very interesting, opposing Neptune and Saturn, because it's like the individual. We do have the power to bring balance back into life if we do it individually. So it's like, and that Mars is very important because it's the ruler of Aries, and Saturn and Neptune are doing something from now until like February next year. So we have a portal that it feels very malleable, that at this time we do have the opportunity to do with our lives wherever we want. And then it feels it will get more crystallized next year. So it's like make peace with life as it is, with that Tao energy of Libra, understanding also the cosmic balance. Because for me, more and more, Libra is about relationship with life. Like everything are relationships. We do have a relationship with the cosmos, we have a relationship with astrology, we have a relationship with other human beings. And that Libra is finding the balance between dark and light, and both are necessary. So the more we resist the darkness, the more we are really giving energy to, and darkness is not evil, right? It's different. It's like light and darkness, no difference. There is these creative forces that are doing something at this time. And I feel that connection with Egypt, with wisdoms that they are not written in the books because we forgot. And now is the time of this big remembering to give birth to new humans. So, and it's new ancient humans. It's the ones that we are already. It's so interesting. It's at the same time, it's like we are already that. Why are we struggling so much to get to a point where we are already that? So it's about like that Osiris, like everything that is not serving. Sometimes we need to be dismembered in order to be remembered. And I think that myth is very important in this second part, understanding that the Great Mother is always present with us.
I love that. I'm just feeling called to bring this reminder through that as we go into Leo season, that means we are one solar season away from eclipse season because I mean, it just feels like for me, we just got out of eclipse season. The energy has felt so sped up, so accelerated, but I mean, we're gearing up for eclipse season again this this Leo season because we have two eclipses in September. So I just want to bring that energy through that or that reminder through that like the energy is pretty sped up as we continue to move through closer to eclipse season. And I know we're focusing on this like the August part of Leo season for this part, but I have to go back to the English chart because there's a something really important that I did not mention in the first round that we are starting Leo season with a perfect Venus Mars square and mutable signs, Venus at 20 degrees of Gemini, Mars at 20 degrees of Virgo. And not only is it a Venus Mars square, so the squaring of the archetypal feminine and masculine energy, but also Mars is on the south node. The south node at that time is 19 degrees of Virgo. And so there's Venus Mars square, Mars on the south node, but also there's this T square, of course. So the north node, Venus situated right between the south and the north node, and Mars right on that south node. When Venus and Mars square, it can create some friction between the feminine and masculine, but that friction is a creative energy. It is a this momentous force that gets us to create in a new way. Also, with anytime a planet squares the lunar nodes, it brings us to a crossroads, a choice point between the past and the future. And so Venus there, our feminine energy, is in this crossroads between past timelines and future timelines. So there's this very choice point energy as we're moving into Leo season. And Mars on the South Node is this invitation. Mars is our more yang, action oriented energy. I call Mars the planet of conscious, inspired action. Mars on the South Node is an invitation to release maybe some of our more like shadow ways of relating to the Virgo energy about over analysts being overly analytical, overly perfectionistic, where that energy actually stifles and gets us stuck and stagnant from taking conscious inspired actions. Remember to return to the ancient ways of Virgo, which is taking action to live in alignment with the sacred patterning, the sacred rhythms of earth and sky. It's this beautiful reminder to remember that we have agency. And like as Kaylin says, we inform the mysteries just as much as they inform us. And through Mars is our agency that we can take action to be that bridge between the above and below the seen and the unseen through our attention and attention, intention and attention. And so there's this really powerful energy. I want to also speak to moving us into August. It's actually July 31st. This is the halfway, kind of the halfway point of the Mercury retrograde, or it's the seeding point for the next Mercury cycle. Mercury and the Sun meet at 9 degrees of Leo. So this is a really powerful, like a power portal to work with our attention and intention to ripple change into our lives, to see new ways of thinking, new ideas, wherever that 9 degrees of Leo is in your astrology chart. There's really this invitation to create some alchemy in that area of your life over the next 4-month Mercury cycle. And so much has been covered already. There's just so much this month, but I also just want to speak to, again, like this beautiful Venus-Jupiter conjunction at 14 degrees of Cancer that is activating the star Sirius. That it's just such a beautiful time to really like remember that we are the oracles and to take intentional time to essentially be the vessel of receiving that beautiful cosmic wisdom. There's so much star wisdom from our star guides that are available with Uranus and Sedna right there in the Pleiades, that Jupiter-Venus conjunction, these two, beautiful in traditional astrology, the two benefic planets meeting right there with Sirius, that this is not something that you have to go and necessarily like study, okay, like what does it mean? What is the Sirian energy? What is the Pleiadian energy? This is something for each of us to open up and to like drink in the sky wisdom and the star wisdom to activate that ancient knowing and that star knowing that's already within each of us. So if you can, go out and be with the night sky, see the light of the stars into your eyes. I find it very powerful. Like you can literally correspond with the stars, with the planets, with the sky, ask for messages, take time to be open to receive. This is certainly a time, as they're always there, but the signs, symbols, the synchronicities as like our guideposts along the way are definitely there with us in the sky, and the stars are talking to us. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so good. And also, if you can't see them because you've got cloud, and of course, this will be visible in the morning sky, Jupiter and Venus. And if it's cloudy, or for some reason you didn't get up in time before the sun came up and they're gone, you can still tune in. You don't have to be able to see them. You can just open your heart and energy and intention to that magic. So, oh my gosh, this is so good. Thank you so much for all the wisdom that has been shared here today. I hope it's inspiring to everyone who listens. Be sure to check out the show notes for some additional information about the cross quarter point, the like Mercury retrograde, and the 8-8 Lionsgate. There's going to be some additional information that you can find there. And so we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.